I'll just move this out of the way in case you get mixed up. A lot of you probably won't have seen me before, so some people find it quite difficult to describe me, so I'm going to make it easy for you. I look like a cross between a paedophile and a paedophile with glasses. I remember my first ever comedy gig. I remember looking out at the stage and my heart was hammering in my chest. And then I looked up at the lights and this little bead of sweat ran down my face. And then I saw the microphone. I was absolutely shitting myself. And I was just in the audience. But the adrenaline buzz I got that night made me think, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could go on stage and be a stand-up. So I did what every self-respecting wannabe stand-up would do. I bought a couple of books on stand-up comedy. One of them was called Spot the Dog Does Stand-Up Comedy. And the other one was called Spot the Dog Does Stand-Up Comedy 2. To be honest, I never learned much about stand-up from Spot the Dog, but he really taught me how to lick people's faces without getting embarrassed. So anyway, I got on stage and I started doing a few stand-up gigs, and I was really enjoying myself. I was getting a few laughs, and all of a sudden, boom! Out of nowhere, the little voice of self-doubt crept into me, and it said, David, how relevant are you to 21st century comedy? I mean, let's face it, you're white, you're working class, you're middle-aged, you're heterosexual. Is that not taking diversity too far? And then I said, no, I can do this. So I jumped back on stage and I worked on my stage presence and my microphone technique, as you just witnessed. I once had sex with a microphone. Yeah. I was going out with a particularly dominating girlfriend at the time, and during her lovemaking, she'd shout out, "Be more vocal!" So I got a microphone. Yeah, it was a really difficult time for me. I was very inexperienced in sex, very young, and she would ask me to do all sorts of things, basically, I didn't understand. And one night she said, "Go down on me." And I was like, and she was like, "Go down on me." And I says, "Okay, your hair's really greasy and your fanny hasn't seen a wet wipe in months." So it didn't last. So I got over that relationship and I got into a new relationship, and then I got married. So I'm married, happily married for 18 years. 3 of those to the same woman. So, you know what happens, you have a long and happy marriage, but things in the physical department, they go a bit downhill, they go a bit stale. So last Valentine's I was thinking it's got a bit stale, it's time to work at the physical side of the relationship. So my wife and I discussed what we could do to spice up our love life. So one of the things we decided was, let's have sex in unusual places. So we jumped on the bus to Kirkcaldy. It was alright. One of the other things was my wife said, "I've always fancied having sex in a wardrobe." And I was like, okay, it's a bit out there, but let's go and have sex in a wardrobe. And to be honest, it was actually bloody brilliant. But the IKEA manager was furious. So anyway, the last thing we did was, let's hark back to the good old days when we used to have sex in the back of the car. So we went out in our little Volkswagen up and parked up I think it was Rosyth Rugby Club. And we had sex and it was really enjoyable. And then my wife, she said, all this clandestine sexual activity, do you think that's going to have a negative effect on our kids? And I said, okay, let's wind the window down and ask them. Yeah, so, I mean, you've got to try these things, haven't you, just to keep things going. You know, the other side of me is, I like a laugh, but I have to say I'm a bit of a worrier. And there's been a lot of stuff in the news recently that really has started to worry me. For example, Kirk Douglas died last week. 103. 103, wow. And I'm just thinking, if somebody had bothered to take that guy's temperature, would he still be alive just now? So some things worry me, some things are big, some things are small. For instance, one of the things that I'm really worried about is Greta Thunberg doing enough teenage things? I mean, is she doing the kind of things that teenagers do? Like being trolled on the internet by people at her own age? Other things I think about are, I'm thinking to myself, I really am worried about those security guards that are patrolling that border down the Irish Sea. Do they really have enough air left for an 8-hour shift? And the other thing is, taking it up a notch, if you think about the people who are going to fly all that way to Mars, billions and billions of pounds flying all that way to Mars, and I'm terrified that when they get there, the exchange rate is going to be shit. So yeah, I'm a bit of a worrier. Obviously one big thing is global warming and particularly deforestation. I'm terrified about deforestation. I'm terrified about all those animals, those apes and baboons that we're going to lose just because somebody wants to cut down trees to make more land to make burgers. I'm terrified about that. But wouldn't it be amazing, the irony of this, if the only orangutan left on this planet is the one in the White House? Terrifies me. So I get terrified by a lot of things, but it's great, and thank you so much to Lubna for allowing me to perform in the Fire Station Creative. It's an absolutely wonderful space. Before you go home, remember to slide down the pole. We still have 2 firemen's poles here. It got me thinking how many hundreds of people have slid down that pole in all the times it's been there. Hundreds of thousands of firemen and dignitaries and VIPs, and only Gordon Brown's managed to climb up it. I know there's a counsellor in here, but we're just having a laugh. Yeah, so I am a bit of a worrier. Obviously in the news last week, Philip Schofield came out and revealed a very important thing about him, and I thought it was very brave, because it's not easy to do that. But I always knew it was never him doing the keepy uppy and the we buy any car advert. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I'm terrified, absolutely terrified of somebody like Donald Trump in charge, especially with his finger on the nuclear button. I'm thinking to myself, what's more frightening? Donald Trump with his finger on the nuclear button, or Harvey Weinstein in a hotel dressing gown? Horrendous. What a world. But yeah, I'm a bit of a worrier, so obviously the one thing about Philip coming out and saying those things was I feel as if there's a secret I can now reveal about myself in public. So thank you, Philip Schofield, for allowing me to feel as if I can expose this guilty little secret to you. So I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I've just not had the guts, because obviously I'm married and it's a tough thing to say, but I'm going to reveal exclusively in front of you all tonight and tell you that I, David Cruickshanks, am officially mental. I've been mental for quite a while, pretty much most of my life. I kind of suffer from panic panic disorder, but I got an upgrade from the doctor a couple of weeks ago to post-traumatic stress disorder. So let me tell you folks, that shit matters. There's a mental health hierarchy, okay? So I used to say to my friends, oh, I suffer from panic disorder, and they're like, me. We've got a long way to go in the stigma of mental health, let me tell you. But when I came back with a diagnosis of PTSD, they went, Invictus Games! I told you that shit opens doors, honestly. So, yeah, I try and explain a little bit about mental health to people. So, my panic disorder is brought on by noise. So thank you for not laughing. But it just drills right into me. So, for example, you say noise, but I mean tiny, tiny little noises. So, for example, if a mouse farted inside a lead-lined cupboard in Boston, I'd have a heart attack. And if I didn't have a heart attack, I'd be worrying why I haven't had a heart attack. So that's my take on panic disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder, well, for me that's a little bit like a horrendous nightmare going round in a loop. So my latest nightmare was, unfortunately, my Cocker Spaniel jumped into the washing machine during a 40-degree colours wash. Trust me, it was absolutely horrific. But on the plus side, when we got her dried out, you should have seen her at the front of the Pride March. She was awesome. So yeah, I laugh and joke about the mental health. I think it's good to get stuff out there. But sometimes I go into really dark places with my mental health. So, for instance, last week I was in Ballingree. I'm telling you, that can really mess with your head. Yeah, so I laugh and joke about mental health, but on the serious side, I have contemplated suicide. But have you seen the price of those vests? That is suicide poverty. That's what that is. Unbelievable. But the other thing is, I talk about suicide and I've thought about it seriously, but I'm such a shitbag. Honestly. I almost pass out when I see the amount of blood I lose opening a packet of razor blades. But on the plus side, you know, there are good signs for mental health in men. For example, 75% of all suicides are carried out by men. So finally, something we can do better than women. So in all seriousness, if you want to talk about mental health afterwards, I'm more than happy to talk about it. So I'll just leave you with this other fantastic initiative from Fife Council. Last year, Fife Council launched an initiative to make suicide awareness a bigger thing across Fife, and I think that's fantastic. So what they organised was a walk across the Queensferry crossing. So it was moderately successful because 800 men started the walk and almost 700 finished. I've been David Cruickshanks, you've been a fantastic audience. Thank you and good night. Thank you to Lubna.